God. Fortunately, I missed the last star power activation. Ugh, god damn it. But, I mean, I can't be too mad. So, in previous attempts of this where I just had went through the bridge for practice, I kept activating early on the post-bridge activation, and I just... it's such a conflict, man. I'm so happy, but... God, that really sucks. Because that could have been a decent score, you know? Like, I nailed all the activations, including the proper C activation, which really was a pain in the ass because I tap a lot of the sweeps, so I have to activate and then go up for a triplet tap about 5 notes later. It's pretty annoying. It's definitely like this song definitely has an obtrusive star power path. Fuck, man. Man, I really just wish I knew what that would have been. Because I really wanted to get 500k. But that was fast. I was actually struggling just to get to the solo for a while. I've been recording, wow, just over a half hour of attempts, 32 minutes of actual FC attempts. um, yeah, I missed like 4 times in a row in guitar break, and I mean, I'm pretty sure I was just going slow because I'm still getting reacquainted to this engine. But I did remember that good old, what is it, the GH2 PS2 hammer-on hopo glitch, whatever. Uh, and so I reset just to make sure, and wow, ended up getting it first try after that. Again, I don't think that's what was going on, but it could have been. Oh, man, that's such a bummer about the star power, but honestly, I can't believe I did not have any post C chokes. That is incredible. I did not feel super confident about F or bridge, honestly. In runs, I had just, like I said, a couple runs where I would get decently far in the solo and then fuck up, and then I would just play the rest of it for practice. And I missed an F and the bridge multiple times in pretty much all those attempts. So I'm very surprised that I got this first try, or well, first try past solo C. Oh boy. So just for my usual post FC rambling, this is another one of those songs. This is probably very much up there the most important songs to me that I never FC'd back in the day, just because Guitar Hero 2 is where it all began for me. I started playing in like June of 07, May or June of 07, and this is definitely the most nostalgic and just the most attachment I have to any of the games. It's just it was the first one I played. It was in a social setting too, so it was like had that going for when I first picked it up, and me and a couple friends. The story of how I first started playing, my first experience with this game was I thought Guitar Hero was really dumb. Me and my brothers used to always make fun of it when it first came out, or until I tried it, whatever. And then I played it at a friend's like sleepover birthday party in middle school, and me and my best friend at the time, we kept going back and forth on Mother and Shout at the Devil on easy, just trying to beat each other's scores. And I think that's all. It's really weird too, because when you first start playing, or when you first start, there's the first 2 tiers are unlocked. So there was 8 songs, but for some reason we just didn't give a shit about Surrender or any of the tier 2 songs, I guess, and we just kept replaying that over and over. And after that, I was hooked. I had to go get the game. How I ended up getting this game for PS2, whether or not this is the same copy, I can't quite remember. But how I ended up getting the game is I had a DS that I had gotten for Christmas, a DS Lite, that Christmas before that, so the Christmas of 06. And I love that thing. I love playing Mario Kart DS with that same friend that had that I was going back and forth with on easy. Shout at the Devil and Mother. And yeah, you know, I played that. I had Mario 64 DS and other things, and I liked the DS a lot. I was really looking forward to Pokemon Gen 4 later that year. But what happened is my DS broke in half. So within like 4 months of me having it, I'm pretty sure I was doing some dumb like little kid like screwing with it in a way that I shouldn't be while playing, just because I was like a dumbass and curious, I suppose. Um, but so when my DS broke, I like called Nintendo, the repair service, and they told me it was going to be $75 to fix it. I didn't have $75. So, and I had just played, or maybe I played this afterwards, but regardless, I ended up selling all my DS games, and I got just enough from that to buy this game and like a 2 guitar bundle off eBay in '07. And that copy ended up being kind of shitty because it wouldn't play past Last Child in career mode because it was scratched so bad, so I had to get it resurfaced to continue playing the game and everything. But yeah, that was what started me off on this 16 years ago, man. And this FC is about 15 years too late for anyone to give a shit, but it certainly means something to me. I still remember the first day I passed this song too. It was on my birthday, and I was going out to GameStop with my family to pick up some birthday gifts. I didn't know what I was gonna get, but I ended up picking up Guitar Hero 1 and Rocks the 80s on that trip, and it was right after I passed this song for the first time and 5-starred it, because those pretty much go hand in hand. And I like went out and like told my friend before I left, and it was just a great day. I remember also at that GameStop being like, man, should I get Guitar Hero 1 and Guitar Hero 80s, or should I get Guitar Hero 3, which wasn't out yet? I was like, oh, should I pre-order Guitar Hero 3 instead, because these two games only have like 70 something songs put together, but Guitar Hero 3 has 70 songs and I get a new guitar for the same price. For some reason I ended up getting the two other games, which I'm happy I did, because I got GH3 like a week after release, just from I don't know how. And you know, on topic of guitars, I'm still using this SG that I'm pretty sure I've used for the entirety of since I started playing this game. The guitar quality peaked with these things. With these, I mean, I can't speak for the GH1 SGs, but these GH2 SGs are machines. Just the amount of time I've spent practicing solo B and C to FC this, like, and how, you know, how much strain it is to standard tap solo B in particular. It's just the fact that these things are going so strong is just crazy to me. Like, my Explorer actually, the strum button, yeah, one of the strum buttons broke, so I ordered some replacements, and so that's why I'm playing this on PS2, and the quality is pretty shit. I'm using my old HD PVR with composite for the PS2 and some shitty splitters and some shitty two-way RCA cables. So yeah, quality isn't very good, but I just really wanted to go for this. I could have just waited until I fixed my Explorer. You know, I have to solder stuff, and I'm not very experienced at that, so that could go wrong, and I could never end up getting that Explorer fixed. But regardless, I just felt like going for this right now. As for my plans with the rest of this game, I'm not entirely sure. I practiced some other stuff yesterday when I pulled this PS2 out of the garage, and like this shit was so like dirty and dusty, and it took me a while to even, like, I was pretty convinced that the guitar and the memory card and everything just didn't even work, because when I first plugged it in, it wasn't recognized. I had no data on my memory card, and it just I guess it just takes a little bit for the conductors to heat up after sitting in storage so long. God damn, it's probably been close to as many years, close to 15 years since I've played this on PS2. And, swear, you know, here we are, 2023. I just watched I Am Christopher Life's Jordan FC from just about this time. I think it was like the end of April of 2008. And here I am, beginning of May 2023. And this is still, like I said, a big accomplishment for me. The biggest reason I was never able to FC this song back in the day, it was kind of a two-pronged issue. The first one is that I learned tapping, the main one I would say, is that I learned tapping through GH2, through that engine, and so I always assumed it was an anchoring problem, like I would anchor the trill too early and it wouldn't count it, but was actually going on, and I just learned this through playing, through, you know, testing, is that it's the ghost input from preemptively anchoring the next trill was making me miss the very first, I don't know, note of the sequential trill. So if you're going from a green, red, green trill to yellow, red, yellow, I would anchor green, tap the red, and then I would preemptively anchor red, and then, you know, try to tap the two yellow notes, but the first yellow would miss because I was inputting a ghost in the form of the red anchor. And also, so that was, you know, a big issue. I had to just go back, and when I booted this up yesterday, I had to turn everything to slowest and just practice that that anchoring method, just anchoring afterwards. And you know, the second is that I just wasn't, honestly, I don't think I was fast enough to tap this back in the day, at least standard tapping. I know there's some other methods by using, like, you do like a descending triplet kind of pattern, I think, and then tap the remaining, and then that you anchor that into a trill and then tap the remaining button. And I should have probably learned that, because the the hardest part about this, about solo B, is after the triplets, I think. Not only is there like an awkward trill pattern that descends like that. If you notice, I anchor like the entirety of solo B, because just to reduce the chance that something dumb happens. But yeah, that would probably increase my consistency. My method for solo C is pretty wild. Just like I said, I started like triplet tapping the sweeps at the beginning, because it was just, I guess I'm just not fast and accurate enough on this engine to hit that super consistently. So I went for a tapping method. The strumming is a bitch, of course, and everything else is pretty straightforward. The biggest obstacle, honestly, from, you know, when I FC'd this, is probably the triplets in solo B. I don't know what the hell this game's like quirk is with, I don't know, man. But my method was essentially just alternate tap, you know, ascending, obviously, and I just could not find any consistency in it. And there were certain points where it felt like I couldn't hit it at all. Because what I was essentially trying to do is, you know, index finger, obviously, anchor green, and do alt-tap triplets, and then move my index finger up to red, alt-tap triplets, and then anchor yellow with my middle finger and tap those triplets so that I would be set up. But like I said, I think it has something to do with, I'm pretty sure it had something to do with the red, with the beginning red at the beginning of those triplets, that was just fucking me up every single time. And I think what was happening is because I was like, I can't even explain it, but for some reason, switching to the method I'm doing now, which is to alt tap the green, red, yellow triplets, and then anchor the red triplets with my middle finger, and then so essentially the first set of triplets ends with not technically a triplet pattern, but like a zigzag pattern. Because you do the triplet and then you go back to anchoring red, and then I alt tap those triplets, and then for the last set of triplets I do the same kind of thing, and I'm anchoring yellow with my ring finger, but obviously I can't, alt tap those triplets, like, I can't do that. So I just standard tap those triplets, and that increased the consistency 100 times over. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's just some weird quirk in this game's engine with anchoring, anchoring stuff or ghost inputs or whatever the cause was. But that was also a bigger pain because it made tapping the stuff after the triplets even harder. But, keep practicing, your speed gets up there, your consistency comes to match. This was only the second time I gotten past solo B, and yeah, so I mean, not only to get past C after just one choke, but to close out the song. Again, huge bummer that I missed that last star power phrase and I couldn't get 500k, because this was definitely going to be 500. Yeah, it really sucks, and I might just end up going back and doing this again on Xbox with my Elgato, just to have a better quality, I guess, but also to fish for that. But I don't know how well that's going to work, because I would be on the Explorer, and I never really learned to use back on the Explorer, and it's super awkward, and I don't really want to do that. So, this might just be the end of, Jordan, at least for now. Probably play in the future if I ever come back for this, just for fun, because it is a really fun song. This is one of those songs that I feel like is really, exceptionally hard to learn, but then once you have it down, especially once your speed with solo B, starts getting much better, it probably, the consistency with this song probably goes up a pretty good amount. I'm honestly just really surprised that not only, like I said, this took me 30 minutes of raw attempts to get, but that this is the second day that I've been playing GH2. Yesterday I dug out the PS2 and, had to set it all up and find all the cables and, the guitar and whatnot, get everything functioning, and get readjusted to this engine, which, I mean, man, I just played a couple runs yesterday just for fun after I'd been practicing the solos for a while, and I honestly wasn't even making it to guitar break with an FC. Like, I was just missing all over the place, getting readjusted to the engine. Anything else? I mean, it's pretty funny that I think it took longer. Well, I mean, it actually took much longer time-wise, but in terms of effort, I don't know where I'd rank it, but it definitely took longer to get all this shit set up than it did for me to FC this. Especially the hoppage, whatever it's pronounced. That took a long time to get set up. And as I was setting it up, after I'd finally got all the splitters and everything and found the USB cord and attached to my PC, got the power supply, everything was plugged in and functioning properly, my CRT fucking died. And I mean RIP, unplug, replug, no signal from the CRT. And then an hour later, I just kind of gave up on it. I was like, well, I guess that's it. I guess I'll just wait till I get my Explorer fixed maybe, or go find another CRT. About an hour later, it just turns on again. And here I am playing it with no issues. Running these splitters through, the HD PVR and stuff, really, it made the signal on the TV really dark and, washed out, so I had to increase the the color saturation and everything on that, and the footage on in OBS looks terrible, so I'm gonna have to do some filtering with that in Sony Vegas. Hopefully I don't go overboard with it like I used to, but yeah, man, this is like I said, this is a big milestone for me. This is something that I've wanted for a really long time. And like I said, as far as the rest of the game goes, you know, like the songs that are left are pretty obnoxious. I feel like I think like the well, I still haven't hit Beast and the Harlot Solo D, but I only tried it for a while yesterday. I hit it on slow a few times, but I didn't get it on full speed. But again, yesterday was a huge chunk of the practice yesterday was just getting readjusted to the engine. But I never hit Beast in the Harlot Solo D. I was playing Institutionalized, and you know, that song's kind of annoying, but the good news is that it's pretty much all concentrated in the beginning. Like, yeah, there was some stuff you can miss later, but it's not nearly as... what is it? Verse 1C through 1E are the really difficult parts of that song, just because of the strumming, I think. What we got after that? I did get 6 back in the day in like 2010 on Xbox, so I don't have to worry about that. Light That Blinds, again, these are all just annoying songs that I feel like I have left, just because of the strumming system mechanic in this game. I know it's not tied to the strum limit or anything. You know, speaking of that, obviously I have Trogdor in the vault to do, and I haven't found... I tried searching yesterday for like a way to do the swap magic to PAL, and I literally found nothing on YouTube, on Google. I tried searching several different ways: NTSC, boot into PAL, swap magic, blah blah blah, Guitar Hero 2, nothing. So I have no way of doing that. If it costs something, I'm probably not in a great position to go for that. But if it's just like I've heard it's just like a very... I heard it was just kind of like a dirty kind of hardware thing, dirty hardware hack. I'm using that term not literally, I'm using it figuratively. But again, I don't know anything about it. Maybe I would go for that. It would still be a pain, obviously. I know that song's still very, very difficult on PAL. And then there's like Miserloo, which just sounds like misery. Like, fucking hell, man. I'll give it a couple shots, but I don't know if I feel like dealing with that. Maybe it's not as bad as I think it's gonna be, but I'm pretty sure it is. Outside of that, I mean, that's really it, right? Like the Blinds, 6, Jordan, Beast, Miserloo, Institutionalized, Hangar 18, right? That song, man, again, it's got this... The biggest reason I can't see myself going for that right now is because Solo 9 is right at the end of the song, and again, maybe I've come around to the engine, got more adjusted to it, and it won't be such a big deal the next time I practice, but yesterday it took me a while just to hit it one time, and it just seems like a huge pain in the ass, especially at the very end. So I feel like that would do some convincing, but this game it's possible, for sure, to full game FC. And, yeah. I guess I've rambled for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes now, but like I said, this FC means a lot to me, just especially after all these years, just coming back and being able to do something that I wasn't able to when I was playing this game consistently. It feels nice just to, just to retain your skill. And I guess the big things on my radar, if I'm gonna keep, grinding for stuff, the crown jewel is Devil, but again, I have no... I say again, I mentioned this in the Slash Guitar Battle FC, I have no, strumming method for that. That's just something that I would either have to really work to build up stamina and consistency on, or I would have to find another method for strumming, because it's just not feasible right now. But everything else is alright. I actually started alt-tapping the back end of Solo K, and that made that way more consistent. But again, my guitar's been broken for like 2 weeks now, so I'm out of practice with all that. R was still giving me some trouble, but it's doable. Soothsayer is definitely doable. It's just such a long, obnoxious grind. That's a good thing about Jordan. It's just enough of a pain in the ass when you miss in the solo, because it's like a couple minutes in, but it's not a drag. And these kind of songs are just so much easier to go for FCs just because of that. There's like songs like Johnny Hardly Knew Ya that I don't have on GH3, so I couldn't do like a complete DLC FC without a modded 360, which just is not something I'm looking to do right now. As for the rest of the series, I guess we'll just keep rambling, because why not? World Tour, I FC'd Satch Boogie a while ago. I don't know if I mentioned that in the last video. I did that pretty randomly back in like 2014, and that's really the only noteworthy song in that game. There's like Assassin, I guess, and Pull Me Under is just kind of long. It's not really difficult. It really is just Satch, as far as I remember, in that game. And then just grinding out all the filler. GH5 is really nothing noteworthy. I'm pretty sure I already FC'd all the... Well, I didn't do the Peter Frampton marathon, but, that game wouldn't be a problem, except, of course, time-wise. Smash Hits, it's just Flames, of course. I didn't put hardly any time in that game, but I did FC all the other hard songs, like Play With Me, Raining Blood, etc. So, just Flames, and I know just Flames, it's incredibly difficult and obnoxious grind that song is. Where I think I would really hit a wall with the full series FC would be I'm the One. It's the same problem with Devil, just exacerbated. Ugh, yikes. That's hard to think about. Oh, right, GH1. So I'm actually sitting at 45 out of 47, and that was stuff I did all back in 2014. All the pictures are on an old cell phone. Again, I think I brought this up in the slash battle FC, but, and so now that I actually have this PS2 hooked up and the capture card working, I might really go to finish out Fired Up and Bark of the Moon. What I would actually ideally like to do is wait till I have my Explorer fixed, and then wait till I have my Explorer fixed and set up PSX2 with that game, and then make states before the Bark of the Moon solo and the actual solo, the difficult part, and Fired Up solo 2. Because that's really the biggest thing that's keeping me from going for those right now. Is it's just, I would have to, first of all, I'd have to get readjusted to the engine. I've heard from a lot of people that Fired Up really isn't that bad. And, I kind of see why. It's just... I definitely went for it back in the day, and I did not come very close. I came much closer to Bark of the Moon. I definitely had some -1s on that one. And I know that's mostly considered more difficult, but it was definitely what I was closer to. I think Fired Up is probably a lot like I'm describing Jordan, where it's just really difficult to learn, but then once you learn it, it's not that bad. You can get pretty consistent, where Bark of the Moon is just... It's easier to read, and because it's just really like a blob of notes, right? Like, you can just fast strum through that at the right tempo and get it. But the fretting is very difficult, and I assume it's very hard to get any kind of consistency out of it. But honestly, I'd like to try to use the hammer-ons on it. I'd like to try to um, descending or strum the first like descending quad and then try to use hammer-ons on it. I remember like I think it was Here at Long Last used or showed off a video of that back in the day. And I think with like setting up states on an emulator, which I know it's not super stable and everything, but it's got to be better than just ramming your head against the wall like GH1 makes you do. Without customs, obviously that would be nice. Just make customs of solos, which I know people have done, but I don't particularly feel like messing with that right now, especially when an alternative exists like I'm describing. And so finishing that game out just in general is something that I want to do regardless if I go further into the full game FC or the full series. Just because, I put so much effort into GH1 in 2014. I mean, for like a month, but still, like, Decontrol, Get Ready to Rock, Texas Flood, those were all a huge pain in the ass, and I really just kind of want to finish out the series. 80s was done 2010, Metallica was done in 2010. So yeah, it's just those last... This game, honestly, GH2, it's very ironic because it's the one that, like I said, I have probably the most affinity for. This or 3 for sure, but this game just means a lot to me, and ironically, it's the one that I have the most to do in, especially before getting this. My only other really notable FCs in GH2 before this were 6 and Detonation, which, a lot of people, I think, consider among the hardest FCs in the game, period, but, it's more just super awkward than anything, whereas this song, like, I literally just didn't have the mechanical understanding and the speed to conquer it. Okay, well, that's about half an hour of rambling, but it's very cathartic to do, so I understand that nobody is watching this or listening to this, but it feels good for me to just speak into the void. I think like the big difference is that when I used to play this game back in the day, I was always in parties, and that's just kind of how the quote unquote culture, I guess, was back then. Like, everybody was in Xbox Live parties grinding for stuff and talking about stuff, and so now when you're just playing this game by yourself and whatnot, I feel like just speaking some stuff into the world and getting it off my chest. But I think I'll end it here because, hey, I might go for some more stuff. It is pretty cool to consider that before yesterday, yesterday right before I went to bed was the first time I had ever hit Solo B. And after 16 years of playing, and now, a day later, 30 minutes of attempts, I got it. And again, I'll probably go back, try for 500 at some point. It should have been this run. It really should have been. This could have been 501, honestly, I think. But, I'm not getting first place anytime soon. I also saw J Prez just break 502 for the first time, which is insane. So, I'm not reaching for the stars, but I really did want to break that, and I might still. But I cannot be upset with this. Like, it's just too important to me, I guess. So, if you are watching or listening, thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys later.